Hello everybody, it's me again. I am here to do this fun and fast tutorial for you. This is going to be using Blender 2.9. So we're going to do a little fun mix up here. It's nothing too serious. This is going to be a fun little monster hand on top of a pumpkin with a very kind of flat background. Uh, Nothing too special, just a little fun for the Halloween season. So let's kick this off. All right, first thing you're going to do is you're going to go into Blender, as you would probably assume. And we're just going to start with the basic layout here. And what we're going to do is we're going to delete our cube. You don't have to delete the cube, but again, I always do. Um, then I'm going to press 1 on my number pad, not the top row of numbers, the actual number pad. And that's just going to reset us so that we're facing the x-axis while looking down the y-axis. And that's going to give us our kind of orientation, our heading, if you will. All right. So I'm going to add in a plane, just a simple plane. I'm going to make it kind of big. And I'm going to make it extra long. So I'm going to do that by scaling on the y-axis with S and Y. And we're just going to go like that. Pretty simple so far, right? Right. So now we're going to go into edit mode. And we are going to cut this in half by going Control R. And that's going to give us two options. We're going to either subdivide it in half down the y-axis or the y-axis or the x-axis. So we're going to do it down the y-axis. We're just going to put one right in the middle there. And then before we get too fancy, which is what we're going to do, we are going to cut that in half, but we're going to take it a little bit closer because what we're trying to do is we're trying to make more of a joint so that it is able to curl up. So in order to do that, we have to subdivide it several times. But if we get just this little bit right there, little space right there, we can do it. So we're going to do another subdivision. This time we're going to roll up on the mouse wheel just to give it a couple more. That's going to give 5 even slices right there. All right. Now is where the fun begins. We're going to select faces. We're going to take this back face and we're just going to press R, and this is going to get scary for a moment. We're going to press R, X, and then 90, and that is going to rotate it 90 degrees on the x-axis. Then we're going to bring it closer here. We're just going to bring it just like this. So we're back to our nice even spacing for our little joint right there, but it's not going to be too close. But now we have something that's going at a 90-degree angle. There are other ways to do this. This is just my way of doing it. Another way would have been to subdivide this part right here and then just extrude the piece up from that edge. That's perfectly cool too. This is just how I did it. Again, the theme of this is fun and Halloweeny. So we're going to make it simple, we're going to make it easy, we're going to make it fun. What we're going to do now is we're going to take this little joint section that we've made here. We are going to turn on proportional editing. And just a nitpicky thing, I like doing connected only, just because that keeps everything kind of in the same area. Um, if you're working at weird angles, sometimes it can pick up uh, weird, weird things. So, yeah, I like doing connected only. It's just my thing. You don't have to. For this, it's totally unnecessary, but we're going to do it anyway. Again, fun, funky, spooky. All right, so I'm going to press G and I'm going to press Z, and that's going to give me the ability to pull this on the Z axis. I'm going to rotate my mouse wheel until it's got a good amount pull there. And, I'm not really digging that too much. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this edge because it's kind of moving everything in a really funky way. Just going to pull that up. And I'm going to pull that that in a bit. And I'm going to turn off proportional editing because it's giving me a problem with that little lip right there. That's fine. This is fine. And then we can just kind of clean it up. So that it has a nice curve there. It doesn't have to be too dramatic of a curve. We're just trying to get that gradient out of it. Okay, cool. So now, it doesn't look like much, but this is going to be our background. In object mode, we're going to go to object and we're going to go to smooth shade, and that is going to give us that gradient rather than solid edges. And if we go into render mode, you can see, it doesn't look half bad. This is fine. We can mess around with this later, but for now, that's going to be our background. All right. So for now, I'm just going to hide this plane because that is of no use to us at this point in time. I'm going to go back to this little side panel, and I'm going to go to View. I'm going to reset the location of 3D cursor to 0, 0, 0. The rotation doesn't really matter. And this is why I told you that you could keep the cube if you wanted to. Best practice is to just delete it, because we're going to put a cube right in the center there. And for those of you who are fairly new to Blender and are doing this as just a really fresh tutorial, you go up to Add, Mesh, Cube. You can also do Shift A and then put a cube there. Same difference. It's all dependent on your workflow. So right off the bat, I'm going to, before I go into edit mode with this cube, I am going to take this cube, I am going to press S, and I'm going to press Y, and that's going to scale it on the Y axis there. So, it's now rectangular along the X axis. It's no longer a perfect cube. Then we're going to go up to here and go into edit mode. We're going to select that top face, and we are going to press E and extrude it right above cube that we had before. Not too bad so far, right? We're also going to scale it on the x-axis. Again, that's S and X. And we're just going to kind of make that handish shape as we go up. We're going to extrude it once more. And this is going to be the top of the palm here, if you can kind of get a picture of what's going on. And you know what? I don't feel like this is thin enough. So I'm going to go out of edit mode. I'm going to fix this by going S and Y and just scaling it a little bit more on the x-axis or on the y-axis. All right, back in edit mode, we are going to do something a little interesting. We are going to press Control and R, and we are going to subdivide 3 times. So you can see in the center they have those edge loops. 1, 2, 3. We're going to click, and we're going to keep that right in the center. We're going to select the top face over here, and this is going to be our pinky. So we are going to, if you look at your hand, you can see pretty well where the lines are for each of the joints. So we're going to just kind of use our edge loops going up as a guide for the joints. So that's not going to be too handy for you unless you're talking about the size of the pinky or the ring finger or the middle finger and seeing how far they are from each other. But for our purposes, we are going to just press E and extrude that face up. And I'm going to look at my pinky. I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to go right about there. I'm going to do the same thing. And relative to my pinky, that goes pretty far up, that second one. Or that first rung. Oop, nope. I'm going to do E. And Go up, there we go, and E again, and that's going to be just below. Okay, perfect. So now we have some pretty cool fingers here, and I'm just going to, for the sake of posterity, I'm going to divide them up a little bit more. I'm going to take them each individually, and I am just going to size them down with S for scale. And I just want to get them to a comfortable kind of aesthetic. Again, this is super stylized, super fun, so don't worry too much about how accurate you're being. It's really not. It's not that important as long as we get the idea. We've done well. Okay. All right, and so then I'm going to extrude again. And this time, at the top, I'm actually going to take the pinky down a bit because the pinky does not go that far up. Pinky is very, very short in comparison to the other fingers, so that's fine. Yeah, that's about right. I might have overestimated it a little bit. That's okay. Okay, so I'm going to turn on proportional editing again, and I'm going to scale the tips, but I'm going to scale them proportionally. So I'm gonna make sure the rest of the finger shrinks a little bit with them. And that's gonna be fine. That's gonna be fine. That's gonna be okie doke. And also with these, I'm going to scale them exclusively on the y-axis because, you know, they come up a bit. That's okay. All right. I'm also going to take the edge of the pinky here, and I'm just going to pull it down a little bit with proportional editing, but I'm going to make sure that it's slanting down just a little bit. Just a housekeeping measure. It's not totally necessary, but it'll help. Then if we look at our hand again, you can see on your hand that the thumb actually comes out very far down, pretty close to the wrist, almost like right out of the joint where the palm is created above the wrist. So if you haven't caught on, your reference is your hand. Look at your hand. Um, for this, I did the right hand. That's kind of cavalier. Uh, I would recommend doing your left hand if you're right-handed, and likewise do your right hand if you're left-handed, because obviously it's easier to keep working with one hand while looking at the other hand. So um, don't don't do as I do. Just do as I say. I say that too much. All right, I'm actually going to turn off proportional editing because it might get me into trouble here. And I am going to extrude that side. So I just did that. I am going to scale that on the x-axis, and I am going to press 0, and that is going to make sure all of this face is flat along the x-axis. I'm going to scale it on the z-axis a little bit. That's going to come up like that. And then I'm going to extrude on the x-axis, and I am going to push that up, and I'm going to scale that on the z-axis, and maybe another extrusion. I could have probably done less, but I don't really want to, and I'm actually just going to scale that. Now all of this is kind of thick there, so I'm going to pull that forward. Had to try to remember which way my thumb goes, but it's that way. All right, let's do that. And you can just kind of tweak it to make it look generally like a thumb. Doesn't have to be perfect. What I'm going to do is I am going to pull this out a little bit. Actually, I'm going to turn proportional editing back on. Just kind of pull things around just to give it a general shape. It doesn't have to be fancy. It really doesn't. And one thing I like to do is if you'll notice that your thumb kind of flattens and goes down into your palm, to try and make this a little bit more flat going toward the palm is helpful. I can always cut this in half, but I'm not going to. All right. Okay, so for better or worse, we have a pretty solid hand. I'm actually going to pull this down a little bit. There you go. We have a pretty solid monster hand there. Pretty flat on one side, pretty bumpy on the other. We've got some raised definition there. Actually going to take this, move it back just a little bit, that forward just a little bit. I'm just tweaking. You don't have to do all of this, but nope, that's the wrong axis. All right, perfect. Okay, and we're done. That's it. That's all you need to do. That's the monster hand right there. I'm just kidding, of course. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to take this very blocky looking Nintendo 64 hand and we are going to subdivide it. And we're going to do that by going over to the modifier tab. We're going to go to add modifier and we are going to go down to subdivision surface, and that's going to give us subdivision surface modifier. And since this is a render, we're not particularly making this for a game or anything else. We're going to, in this example, bump up the subdivisions by quite a bit. So I'm going to go all the way to 4, all the way to 11. Don't go to 11. That would be bad for everybody. My computer can handle this. If yours can't, just go to 3, 2, whatever you want to do. The point is, we're using the subdivision surface modifier to make a little bit more definition. So we're going to make the edge of the hand a little bit blocky because we're gonna carve into that and make it a little bit more grotesque. All right, we are going to. You can see right now we have a little bit of a sausage finger problem, and by that I mean that everything kind of looks rounded. That's very easy to fix. We're going to go right here and we're going to pull this whole thing to the side back there. So what we're doing is we pressed Control R. We made a loop cut around the middle going all the way through, and that gave us the ability to flatten one side more than the other. It looks kind of weird right now. We'll fix it, don't worry. All right. Now I'm going to take the base of the fingers because they're it's hand-like, but we can do better. So we're going to loop cut right around the base of the fingers. We're just going to pull that down a little bit and then place it. Same thing over here. Loop cut, pull it down. Same kind of deal. And we're going to do that for each finger just until we're happy with the little loop that it makes there. Little U shape. Okay, that's not bad. I want to try and get this hard edge of the hand off. We can do that in 2 ways. We can do it in sculpting, or we can try to mess with the points a little bit. And that's what we're going to do right here. We're going to mess with the points just a little bit, just to save ourselves some headache. Uh, we're not going to do this with proportional editing. I thought I could get away with it, but I can't. All right, just going to pull the points around. Um, and unfortunately, there's a certain amount that you cannot avoid in sculpt mode. Um, but for now, I think we can do a pretty good job here. All right. So not bad so far. Um, the thumb is looking a little shabby. So we're going to take this in just a little bit. Take this part in. We're going to make this thumb edge a little bit more sideways. Just because that's how thumbs are, man. That's how they roll. I'm actually gonna not do that until I can proportional edit. just going to do that. We're going to be a little loosey-goosey. We're here to have fun. This is Halloween. All right. So yeah, that's not bad at all. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to model the nails a bit. Actually, I'm going to shift one of these down because I don't like the way that that looks. Yeah, a bit. I think it's fine. It's fine. It's stylized. Don't even worry about it. I am going to loop cut there, and you'll see why in a moment. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make our fingernails because that looks pretty solid for a kind of basic hand. We haven't sculpted yet. It's going to be fine. I'm going to select this face, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to press E, and you'll notice that the face flattens like immediately. I'm going to press S. Oh, sorry, I'm going to turn proportional editing off first, then I'm going to press S and bring that in just a little bit. Use your discretion. Then I am going to do something unheard of, unspeakable. I am going to take it on the y-axis and I'm going to push it inward. That's going to make a weird indentation. Actually, I'm going to scale it a little bit more. There you go. Then after I do that, I am going to press E again, and I'm going to pull this new face that we've made through the extrusion out. And then I'm going to scale that back up. And that is going to make a kind of ugly blob. I'll show you. Ugly blob on the tip of the finger there. That's going to be fine. We're going to fix that. Don't you worry about it. All right. And then we're going to do that with every other finger. This is how we're going to make our fingernails. Again, that's E, unselect, or I don't know what the term is for that. Make sure it's not moving anymore. Press S, scale it in. Probably a good amount. The blobbier the better. Push it back with the Y axis and, oops, wrong one. Press E again. Pull that out. Scale it up a bit. Are you having fun yet? Are you feeling spooky yet? Me too. All right, same old thing. In. Oop. On the Y. E. I'm doing this out of order, I'm sorry if that's confusing. But yeah, same old thing. Extrude. Scale in. Move on the y-axis. Extrude again. Move on the y-axis again. Scale out. Boom. And we'll do this for the thumb. This is why I did an extra edge loop here. It's because I want a good amount of space. I want that amount of space specifically. So, same principle. E, go in, Y, extrude again, pull out, and up. There you go. It's kind of funky, I don't know. Scale on the z-axis. Maybe, yeah. Tweak it. It's going to be a funky monster thumb, but, you know, I kind of like it. I kind of like it a lot. All right, so you can look at your finished product there. It's kind of a funky monster hand, but we're having fun. It's Halloween. We're having a groovy time. All right. So if we're happy with that, and in this case we are, because we're doing a fast, simple, fun monster hand, we are going to do apply. You can do Control A, or you can click on the drop-down menu and press apply. And what that is going to do is that is going to change the topology to something a bit more complex, something that looks like this. And that is exactly what we want. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to go making sure that this is selected. We call it cube right here. I'm probably going to rename that later, but also I'm lazy right now, but you should rename it. You should. Again, do as I say, not as I do. All right, we're going to go into sculpting. And you can just find that little sculpting tab up there. There are other ways you can go into sculpting. I prefer to actually go into the mode that just allows you to sculpt freely. Everything's pretty well laid out for you, so do that. I'm going to put on my little drawing glove here. All right, and now we're going to mess around with the model. I'll try to keep my eyes up here and be engaging, but I'm also working on a tablet. All right, so right now we're just going to try to make this look less, the word, sausagey? Is that the right thing? More hand-like. So I'm gonna try to manipulate the tips of the fingers and stuff to just try to make it look cleaner. Um, so what I like to do, you can do whatever you want. What I like to do is do the broader strokes first. I'm gonna make sure that mirroring is off. So cleaning up edges and sides and stuff to make sure that the shape, the general shape is good first, and then I'll go in and do more detail, which I think is generally the good way to do things. Um, so yeah, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take this nice little smoothing tool, and I am just going to run along these edges that look like they are square, because we don't want square edges. You can leave a bit, that's not really doing me any favors there. You can leave a bit around the wrist. Wrists are kind of oblongy, so we're not too worried about this. Also, this is stylized, and we're just having fun, so who cares? Um, but yeah, try to flatten some of this out, make it look better. Take that. Yeah, all I'm doing is just kind of taking the squareness out. That's all I want to do. I just don't want it to look like a square. And again, we tried to do that a bit with the um, arrangement of our vertices, but there's only so much you can do. Okay, and we're doing it, and we're doing it. Don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious. Okay. So does it look great? No, it doesn't. But early days, be patient. Be patient, young Jedi. Alright. Okay, so now while I have this smoothing tool, I am going to go up to the nail beds, each of the nail beds, and I am going to just kind of smooth out the bottom part, the base part, because we want it to seem as if the nail is going into the bed. Don't want it to look like it's just kind of plopped on top. And we can also smooth around the edge of the nail. This is all gravy. We like that. Yeah, it's not bad. And these nails are going to be pretty dark, so don't worry too much about how defined they are, because they will definitely be defined. All right, and we also want to try to kind of square off the nails a little bit, because they're, nails are not round; they're more square than round. Um, we can do a little bit of softening around the tips of the fingers too. We're just trying to make this look good. But yeah, try to keep to that square pattern. And if it's perfect, good. If it's not perfect, who cares? We're having fun, right? All right. We're liking that. That's not a bad nail. That nail bed is a little bit deep, but we're good. We're going well so far. It's going well so far. All right. All right, not bad. Okay. Okay, so now that we have the nails kind of softened down, filed down, we've filed the nails a bit, um, we are actually going to take our little elastic deform tool and we're just going to try to square out the nails a little bit more just to give it that shape. We really want them, and if they're ugly, that's even better. This is one of those projects where you're doing a monster hand. The more grotesque it is, the more you're winning at life. And you can't say that about a lot of things. That's a Blair quote you can take to the bank. All right. All right. And the pinky's a little fat. I am going to just shave it off a little bit. There. Yeah, that's fine. A little fat on this side too. Pinky's generally pretty trim. All right. Not bad. Is it grotesque? Yeah. Is it terrible? Yeah. Do we care? We don't. All right. So we've got that. Let's use our little elastic deform tool. Make this thumb a winner. You know, I know I said don't worry about it, but I am going to give the thumb a little bit more definition around the nail. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just using the, what is it called? The crease tool. That's the word. I had to hold it over. I'll just do that on either side of each nail just to give it a little bit of arc. I don't want these nails to look clean and good. And nails generally aren't. So that's fun. All right. So now that I've done that, I'm going to take um, the clay strips tool and I am going to start doing a little bit more 3D definition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the knuckles. Um, they're pretty easy to do. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit here. And I'm just going to take this clay strips and I'm just going to kind of go down toward the base of the hand. And you can look at the back of your hand, you can see knuckles generally have kind of a starting point and then they trail off into the tendons of the hand. So we're going to do this with all of them. And you're going to say, oh, this looks awful, Blair. Why did I click on your video? You'll see. We'll fix it. Don't worry. Have some faith in me. All right. Then we're going to take the smoothing tool and we're just going to smooth it in. Just because we're giving it definition, we're not trying to be the Michelangelo of sculpting, but that could use a little bit more definition. A little bit more. All right, perfect. And we're just going to give it a nice, easy kind of knuckle. Beautiful. All right. Now we're going to look at our hand again, and we're going to notice where the thumb knuckle starts. This thumb looks very stunted because it has absolutely no knuckle to it. That's fine though. We can change this. We can make it better. We can make it stronger. We can make it faster. we can increase the surface area and bring it back. All right. And again, this is stylized. We're just having fun. We're not doing anything serious. It's a little wonky thumb, I'm going to be honest with you guys. That's okay. We are going to make it even more extreme, and hopefully that'll balance it out just a little bit. Yeah, it's not the best thumb, but it is a monster thumb. All right, and I'm going to increase the definition on this thumb because it's kind of a loop by getting some definition around the finger. I'm just going to use the crease tool to crease that out a little bit. We can keep going with that. Really make it disgusting. Actually use this. There's a lot of fixing to do in this thumb. I apologize to anybody who's following this. It's like, why did he make the thumb so weird? Because, you know, I did. It happened. I apologize. But we can always remake it. We can make it better. Okay. So yeah, weird thumb, but I swear it'll work. For what we're doing, it'll work. It'll work. All right. So now I'm going to go along and I'm just going to do the finger joints. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take those clay strips and I am going to make little joint areas and then just smooth it out. I'm going to take the smoothing brush down. That's good. Perfect. Nope, that looks more like a tumor. All right. Perfect. There we go. Now we're going to keep going. We're going to do that again. Go in a bit more. Okay, and I'm just going to notice where things are. So joint for the first finger, index finger is about there. Second joint's up there, less defined. Above that, second joint, first joint. I'm just going to keep doing that. Second joint, first joint. Second joint. Pinky does have those, yeah. Pinky has a little bit more of a joint down lower, but we're not gonna sweat it. We're just having fun, guys. Just having fun. All right, and so likewise, I am going to go on the other side of the hand, and I'm going to, at those very same joint ball areas, I'm going to crease the other side because we have bony bits on one side and we have creases on the other side. That's how the hand works. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't make the rules. I just follow. So we're just going to crease that. Oop. Is that right? Hopefully that's right. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. All right. So we're just going to do that and that. That feels right. That and that and good. Okay. So more or less correct placement. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to just smooth it out. Smooth out those knuckles. Not too much, but a bit, just so that it seems like it's blending with skin. We want it to be nice and smooth. A little bit too pronounced there, but yeah. Gross. All right. I know, I'm so supportive of my own work. All right, and then we're going to crease just along the crest of the fingers there, because that's going to give them some more definition. And you can notice that there's another crease that runs from the top part of the thumb down here and just kind of define that. We're going to define lines in the hands more later, so don't spend too much time worrying about these creases. They're not that important, believe it or not. We're just trying to get the shape. That's all we want. And of course, yep, the hand has a bit of a defined palm there. And that goes directly into the thumb. So let's smooth this out. Oh, and I also need to do the creases on the thumb. And again, feel free to mess with this as much as you want. It's going to be this process where you're, constantly perfecting, constantly improving. I'm still learning a ton, so don't take what I say as, sacred text. I can only tell you what I do, but not how things ought to be done. And any artist who tells you they know exactly how things should be done, it's probably not correct. But yeah, so feel free to just let yourself stretch out and sculpt like your life depends on it. That's gonna go in here. That's gonna go right there. And I'll just do a little crease. Little crease. Because yeah, the palm kind of subdivides there pretty well. Then there's kind of a crease at the edge of the hand there, so I'm gonna do that. And of course, we've got that. Perfect. Okay. So what we have is kind of a Quasimodo looking hand, but it's a hand nonetheless. I am going to soften this up a bit, just because that's bugging me. I don't want it to be too blocky. We're stylized, but that doesn't mean we're horrifying individuals. All right. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So, pretty good looking hand for our purposes, I think. I just do a little bit more. I could probably tweak this for days. In fact, speaking of tweaking for days, I'm probably going to let the tendons show a little bit more because there are tendons that go through. I don't know, at the top it's going to be bones, at the bottom it's going to be tendons. But we're going to make it look bony anyway. You know why? Because we can. Nope. Because boniness is interestingness when it comes to the hand. And we want this to be interesting. If nothing else, we want this to be interesting. All right, there we go. And smooth that out. Yeah, we want that weird kind of, ooh, there's something going on under the surface. What could it be? Who knows? Who cares? We do. But yeah, we just want it to look kind of fleshy and inconsistent. Cool. I like that. Okay, so if we look at our product, we can be happy with that. That's fine. Um, I'm also going to hollow out the hand. It really doesn't matter too much um, because, I mean, we're not going to see it, but for our sake, we're going to say, hey, we're going to have fun. This is all about fun, right? Right. All right. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit and I'm going to give it a little, oop, that's the opposite of what I want to do. Yeah, there we go. It's going to give it a kind of grotesque looking stump. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. I'm just going to It's gonna go crazy with it. Ugh, disgusting. Cool. All right. There you have it. That's the sculpt section of our little tutorial. It's kind of a Quasimodo looking hand, but I'm kind of digging that. I'm for our Halloween theme. I'm digging it. All right. So we're gonna go back to layout. And if you have your tablet, still keep it handy because we're going to use it again a lot. What we're going to do is we are going to, usually what we would do is we would cut our model up and nicely UV unwrap it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to UV editor. Since we're having fun and we're being lazy, I'm just going to go into edit mode, select all of the vertices. I guess I could be on vertices select just to show you guys. And you'll notice that it's still unwrapped as a cube, and we don't want that. So we're going to go make sure our cursor is up here in this top window. We're going to press U, and we're going to go Smart UV Project. And this is going to kind of put pieces everywhere, but for our purposes, it's going to be fine. You wouldn't normally do this, but we're going to do this. Okay, so you can see this is kind of a mess. Everything's everywhere. Oh, do I like this? I don't particularly like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because this isn't unwrapping the way that it usually does, slash I would like it to, I am just going to I'm going to go Alt, and I'm going to take a line that goes all the way around like that. So if I hold Alt and I select, it's going to select a loop that's connected to whatever I'm selecting. I'm going to go up to Edge, and I'm being such a bad role model, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to mark seam. Okay, so now that I have my edge loop, I am going to just unwrap it. See what that does. Okay. So this is in no way ideal, but it does make sure that there's nothing overlapping. I'm going to try to organize these just so that they um, have good resolution and I'm going to try to organize these just so that they have good resolution and are not overlapping at the same time. Maybe take that down a notch. Let's see what we got. R and G and move it around. There's no easy way to do this. S. It's fine. Which side has the nails? That side? Yeah, that has the nails. Okay, so that side's bigger. That's all I care about. All right. So now we're going to make a new texture, and we're going to call it, instead of Untitled, Monster. Oh, Monster. I actually kind of like it with the 3. Monster Skin. And instead of this resolution, which is kind of dinky, we're going to put it up to 4K, man. We're going to do 4096 as the resolution, 4096. And the color we want is our base for the monster skin. We're going to keep it kind of in the gray area, but we're going to give it a green, kind of sickly green. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, and that will make us a new texture that has this kind of thickly gray-green color. And it's called Monster Skin 01 because I accidentally made another one. All right. So now over here, I'm going to go back to object mode if I can click correctly. I'm going to select the object. I'm going to go down to the materials tab right here, and I am going to say new, and I'm going to call this M skin. All right, and under the base color, I am going to click this little bubbly icon right there, go down to Image Texture, and from this pull down, I am just going to go to Monster Skin 01. So now if I go into rendered mode, you can see that this green flesh color, this smooth shading, no, it's not. Okay, so smooth shade, if you haven't already, makes it look way better. Okay, so it's got that greenish flesh color, and we want that. From here, um, we are going to paint the colors in. So what we're going to do is with this selected, we're going to go up to Texture Paint, and you can see we have Monster Skin on this side, and we have it more or less on this side. Now, right here is kind of a deceptive canvas. What you want to do is you want to go over to, if you can, Viewport Shading, and that's going to give you a more accurate color as you're painting. All right, so we're going to, again, a tablet is very useful to have. As we do this, we're going to go up here, we're going to go to the color, and we're going to select the little eyedropper, and we're going to get that color. We're going to take that color that we just selected, and we're going to draw it down to a kind of blackish green. Still sickly, but good. And then we're just going to paint the nails, basically. We're going to go in here. If you want to, you can this aside. It's not going to be too useful. But yeah, we're just going to go in and we're just going to paint the nails this color. All right. And it's going to be kind of blotchy, but you know what? That's perfect. It's exactly what we want. Try to just make sure that it's squared off toward the bed of the nail. If you get little bits of darker color, it's perfectly okay. And I am going to show you this one nail and then I will skip through the rest. If you make a little mistake like that, it's not a big deal. Just go back and paint over it. Then we're going to select our color again. And that's it. That's all you have to do for those nails. I'm going to go through them and then we will get back together when I'm done. All right. And we're back. So you can see we've painted all of the nails there. It's looking like a little bit of a goth monster. I like it though. And now we're going to paint the stub. So for that, we're just going to go red for blood. And we're gonna keep it fairly dark. It doesn't matter really because they're not going to see. If you want to paint it, you can. Totally optional. But yeah, we're going to paint this just like that. Blood, blood. Blah, blah, blah. I don't say blah, blah, blah. 12 points to Gryffindor, if you know what movie that's from. All right. So, yeah, I'll put a little blood kind of seeping over the edge there. Ugh, gross. All right. So we have a pretty disgusting hand so far, but I think it turned out pretty well. So from there, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to save this image, and you're going to go right up to that image. It has that little asterisk next to it, and you're going to go save as, and you can name it whatever you want. M texture. I'm saving it as M texture here. All right, and that will be your diffuse map. Often called color on Blender, but diffuse is probably the more correct technical term. And it looks pretty good. Kind of gross, kind of witchy almost, actually. But yeah, so we're off to a good start, as you can see. We're going to do something very similar. We're going to go back to layout, and you can see our map is down there. It looks kind of weird, but uh, it's not looking too bad so far. All right. We're going to go new image again. It's going to save our settings from before. We're going to name this NML. L. All right. NML. And we're going to call this, we're going to make sure that this is white. So a quick way to do that is 1 on hue, 0 on saturation, and 1 on value. And that's going to bring it to white. And that looks all to be in order. So we're going to have that. So NML, and NML stands for normal. So we're going to go into the nodes here, go over to this little window selector, go to shader editor. And so this, what you'll see down here, I'm trying to keep it as user-friendly as possible for beginners. This is basically this. So this is just all the information in node form for your material. It's the same thing. You'll notice that this panel right here looks very similar to this. The only thing that's different is that these nodes make more complicated functions for the material. So uh, exact same thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, actually we'll do this the non-cheating way. We're going to go down to add and texture. Then we're going to go to image texture. We're going to pull this image texture over here. What we're going to do is we're going to go to this little icon on the side to select the image from our own directory. We're going to select NML, and that is fabulous. That's a part of the material now. We are going to go to add again. We're going to go to vector. This time we are going to go to bump, and we're going to place bump right in between NML and our shader right there. I'm going to try to keep this as not technical as possible. You're going to take this little color dot, you're going to click and drag to height, then you're going to take this normal dot and you're going to drag it over to normal. And basically what this is doing is it's taking a grayscale height map and it's saying that's what the bumps are based on white to black value, and then it's feeding it through this little interpretation node and turning it into a height map for our normal. So our shader knows where to put bumps and stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure NML is selected, and we're going to go straight back into texture paint, and now you'll notice that over here it's white, which is cool. Again, we're going to reset our values by doing 1, 0, and 1. That's going to set it to white. So right now, currently our brush is the same as the background. And what we're going to do is ever so slightly, we're going to take this value down. So the value, oh man, we'll put it at like 9.96. Why not? So what this is basically doing is it's putting more black into our um, our brush, and it's almost an imperceptible amount to us, but the computer will know, and you'll see very quickly here how strong the force is with the amount of black in our brush. Okay, so I'm going to make this radius down to 1 pixel. 1 pixel, and you're going to say, Blair, that's crazy talk, but it's necessary. And watch what happens when, actually I'm going to take the strength down. This is how afraid I am of this tiny bit of black in here. I'm going to take the strength down to like 0.5, maybe a little higher than 0.5. Look at that. That was just a very light swipe, and it cuts straight in to that. And you can see now the normal map is giving us a crease, a little spot. So we're just going to do this, and it's going to look extreme, but we're going to fix this later. So yeah, we're just going to give each joint a little bit of a crease. And if you want, you can look at your own hand to see the creases. Yeah, we're just going to give little creases across. I'm going to try to do this very quickly because it's not that serious of a step. And little creases on the hillside, little creases made of bricky bracky. Anybody know that song? I don't even know if I know that song. All right, and again, we're just going along each of these little joints, where the finger would bend. This is not that important of a step. If you want to skip it, you can skip it, but I just like being fastidious. And then we're going to do the same along the knuckles, just little creases where it might have done. It's not too important for this side of the hand. If you don't like how it ends up looking, feel free to whitewash the entire thing and have no normal maps on the back of the hand. Okay, we're going to go down to the thumb. We're going to do the same thing here. You can see how just a little bit goes a really long way. This is not a lot of black in there. Okay, so the other side of the hand is more important. Oh, actually, sorry. I'm going to do a little bit of design along the nail bed just because it kind of makes it look cool. And we want to be cool. We want to be fun. We want to have a chill time, right? All right. So yeah, we're just going to do little decorations along the nail bed. And we're doing this super fast. Not really that seriously at all. Ugh, gross hand. All right. Now, as I said before, this side is way more important. So we're going to just do nice little, you can do quick lines. We're just going to do crease lines where the hand has creased. Ultimately, this doesn't matter too much because we're not going to see it, but for our purposes, it's cool. It's a cool part. Sit back, enjoy the art. Those little divots that you made earlier, those are where we're going to put these. Let me try to make this as accurate as possible. I don't know. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. And then, yeah, all of these little divots, we can just put little creases, and it'll just make it that much more real. And if you like palmistry, if you want to be more Halloweeny and witchy, you can do cool like lines that are long lifeline or whatever you want to do. I don't read palms. I don't know. I'm not that cool. And again, don't worry too much about how kind of defined these lines are because we're gonna shift it around a little bit later. Okay, so now we have our wrinkles in our palm, for better or worse. I say that a lot, don't I? So now we have the wrinkles in our palm and on our hand. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to layout mode, and we can see that they've showed up in our render. But we don't want them to be that extreme. They kind of look like doodles. So we're just gonna take the strength down. You can take that down as much as you want. That's probably a little bit more. And you can take the distance down. There's variable methods about this. I like to use the strength modifier. Some people like to keep the strength up and do the distance to keep kind of the indentations consistent. I don't find that too helpful. It really doesn't matter. Um, as you can see, the difference is negligible. Uh, Strength and distance is 1. Take the strength down. Yeah, I find the strength going down to be a little bit more agreeable, but everybody's different. Okay, so now that we have lines in our hands, let's go to our, uh, we didn't save in our last texture area, but we can still save here. If we go to our UV editor, we see our normal, we can go normal and image, save as, and normal. Okay, so that's saved now. And as long as the texture's in use, I believe, in Blender, it will always remain safe. All right, so we're going to do another map. This one's going to be a little bit more tricky and a little bit more fun. Again, we're going to do the same thing just so we can get that practice. In this one, we are going to call it RGH, and we are going to keep it at white here. So we have another white one. This one's called RGH, and if you haven't guessed already, since NML was normal, RGH is roughness. So here is where we're going to define our roughness. We're going to go back to the shader editor. We are going to add another texture. We're going to add an image texture. We're going to not open, excuse me. We're going to pull this down. We're going to go to RGH, and RGH is going to be our roughness. Ooh. And now you can see that immediately our texture looks rougher. That's because the value of white is all the way up. So roughness is at its peak when the map is white. We're going to go back into Texture Painter. This time we're going to make sure that RGH is up there in the corner. And we are going to take this a little bit more liberally down to medium gray. Yeah, a little on the lighter end of gray, let's call it. And then we're gonna do another paint job here. And as you see me paint gray, you'll see not the gray color come up, but you'll see something else happen, hopefully. Oh, sorry, I took the strength down. Make sure your strength is all the way up, by the way. And as I paint, you'll see that it's not gray on the nail anymore, but it's actually looking like a smoother surface. Look at that. Nice and smooth. Smooth surface. And so you can just do this with all of the nails. I'm gonna zoom in. And yeah, just cover the surface and it'll look like it's getting wet. If that makes any sense. But it's just getting smoother. It's just giving it smoothness, which will be helpful for reflecting light and doing all that. And another nail. I'm just going to do the quick and dirty version of this. Is it fantastic? No. Is it fun? Yes, it is. All right. And that is very cool. Okay, so we got some semi-smooth nails you can see there. It's not, see if it'll do it. Yeah, in rendered version, you can see that they look more like nails, opposing that skin, right? But we're not done. We're not done with the skin. Um, the first thing that we're going to do, let me go back here so it's a little bit easier to render. We're going to go down to the nub because we didn't forget about the nub. We're going to take this all the way to black, which will tell the computer to do it completely wet, completely shiny. So as we draw, you'll kind of notice that it's going to get moister looking. I apologize for anybody who doesn't like the sound of the word moist. I apologize for that again. But that's going to give us a little bloody nub. Look at that. Ugh, looks goopy and meaty. So that's perfect. Then what we're going to do is something a little special. We're going to take this radius up quite a bit. We're going to take this, and we're going to go nearly white. We're going to go about where we were before, maybe 0.94. Why not? 0.94 on the whiteness level. And then we are going to go over to this little tab down here, which is texture. And you can see it's pretty much blank. We're going to click new. And on the type, we're going to choose clouds. And what this is going to do is it's going to make our texture variable. So we don't have to worry about painting over the nails. The nails are already darker than whatever this texture is going to be. But this is going to give us kind of slimy looking odd skin. So this is a very broad stroke. I don't know if it's going to take a while. I'll let you know if it does. But usually when it has to cover a larger map, it takes a little while to render. So if it looks like your computer's frozen, don't give up on it. Just wait it out. I swear it will correct itself. But make sure you save before you do this. I'm going to do that right now, in fact. All right, so it's saved. Let's paint. Now you can see it looks like it's frozen.
2 hours later.
Okay, so now you can see what it's doing here. It's giving it a little bit of a slimy, varied texture. And we like that. That's what we want. Um, we don't want it to get too shiny because that kind of works against our purposes. Um, and I will skip to after I do all of this because it does take it a lot for each brush stroke. So yeah, it'll look like your computer is freezing. Again, stick with it. It will figure itself out after a while. So I'll meet you on the other side. All right, so we're back, and what we've done is after much waiting, we've textured the hand so it's got that kind of variable smoothness. It's got a little bit too much there, but that's fine. We're not going to sweat it right now. Anyway, so we're going to go back to the layout now that we've done that, and that's all good. And again, I forgot to save this, so I'm going to go back to the UV editor. We've got this weird roughness map. Um, I am going to go over to image and save it. Okay, perfect. So our hand is pretty much modeled now. Let me pull this light source away. Okay, so yeah, our hand is pretty much modeled now. It's pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is now we're going to rig the hand. So what that involves is I'm going to bring the 3D cursor down to the base of the hand, and then we're going to zero out X and Y so that it's at the center of the hand there. Okay, and what we'll do is we will go to add an armature, and that's just going to add an armature. You can't see it right now because it's in the center, but there are two ways that we can make it visible. The first way is you can go to this little setting over here, and that's going to be viewport visibility, or sorry, viewport display. And then you can click in front, and that will bring the entire skeleton in front. The other way to do this, which is just as easy, is if you click on the skeleton tab, or the armature tab, that's the bone tab, armature tab, go to viewport in front. Same thing pretty much. All right, so now that we know that that's in the front, we're going to center it at the base right there. Then we're going to go into edit mode. And we're going to click on this, let's get this going. We're going to click on this little ball here. And we're going to bring it up to about the base of the palm. and we're going to press E, and we're just going to drag out a bone to the thumb. So we're going to do that to the base of the thumb, maybe up a little bit. Press E again, take it to the joint. Make sure that this is actually at the joint. Take it to the joint, and then press E again, and take it to the tip. Same basic principle with all of the fingers. This is a really simple rig. Take it to the base, right where you see the crease, that's about a good place. So crease, and another crease, and another crease. There you go. All right, now we're going to extrude from these guys, pressing E and dragging up. Take it again to that crease. Take it into the crease, and the top. And so you can adjust these, correct it a little bit so it's fairly center. And a good thing to do, probably before where I am right now, is go to the side view and see where these are. So you can see the thumb is not exactly correct here, but that's fine. We're going to move it just over there, and that should be pretty good. Good enough, at least. So, because we're posing, we're not really animating, we're just posing this. All right, so we're going to go here, and we're going to do the same thing. E up to the crease, and E up to the crease, and up to the tip. And boom, 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 boom. And again, I just want to double check to make sure they're all in line. That's perfect. Okay, and so there you have it. That's the rig. That's the armature. So we're going to go back into object mode. We're going to select the hand. Then we're going to select the armature. So you can see they're both selected, but you want to make sure that the armature is selected last. That's very important. All right. Then you're going to go Control P, and you're going to get this parent option up here, and you're going to go down to Armature Deform, and under Armature Deform, you're going to go Automatic Weights with Automatic Weights. So that's going to take a while to compute, but it comes up pretty quick. And I'm going to go back into this view mode. Okay, so this should be parented. You should see that your actual object disappears from the corner up here, and it's now a part of the armature. So when you move the armature around, it's going to go with it. Okay. Just to test to make sure that the weight painting went okay, let us move some of these. It should be fine. But yeah, just move some fingers around and you can see it does it. And it looks pretty good. It doesn't look like it's affecting any other parts of it. Yeah, this is fine. So if you want to reset the pose, just A to rock on hand. A to select all of the bones and go back to clear transformation and all. Then that should set it back to the way that it was set before you moved stuff. Okay, so we've got our monster hand pretty well in hand. That's another terrible pun. I'm sorry, guys. All right, so we are gonna hide all of that, and now we're gonna make our pumpkin. This is one of the easier things. You don't need a tablet to do this. This is just modeling. Um, I'm gonna reset the position of my 3D cursor. I know there's a quicker way to do this. I just don't know of it right now off the top of my head. And I don't really feel like looking up things. I don't know. I'm weird like that. just fly by the seat of my pants. I'm sure it's fine. All right, so we're gonna click Add, and we're gonna put a UV sphere into the scene. Just drag it up a bit so it's at a level area. Then we are going to go from object mode into edit mode. This is going to be a really quick model, guys. We're going to grab the top most vertices. We're going to go into proportional editing, and we're going to grab it on the Z axis. So I'm going to go G and Z. just so I can scroll the wheel and do all that stuff. And now we're going to just drag that down. We can open it up a little bit just to give it that kind of pumpkin top shape. And I'm actually going to G and GZ. Excuse me. Bring that back up a little bit just to give it that weird kind of woof. I don't know what that is. Woof. All right, so now we're going to go to the bottom and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make it a little less extreme because a pumpkin is kind of top heavy and it has a flat bottom. Um, so we'll do that. And we'll give it that proportional editing just so we get that curve in, but there you go. Cool, simple. All right, so in a UV sphere, all of these edge loops that go along here, they're all in 10-degree increments. So this, if we count this as 0 degrees, this is 90 degrees, so it's the ninth edge loop. So without boring you with tons of math, we're going to select every fourth edge loop. So we go 1, we go 2, 3, or sorry, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then boop. Actually, that's the fifth, isn't it? Yeah, every fifth edge loop. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boop. Oh my gosh. And that's going to be a shift and alt. So every time I go around, it's alt and that selects the whole edge loop. And we're just going to do that with every fifth one. Okay. Oh, that's the wrong one. Boop, there you go. And so that should give you an even distribution of loops all the way around. All right. Excuse me. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to press, with proportional editing still on, we are going to press S, and we are going to take the proportional editing way down with our mouse wheel, and we are just going to pull it in a bit, more than a bit, a good bit. All right, that's probably great. All right, there you go. And you can see already it's looking a little bit pumpkin-like. However, we're going to do more. So over here on your side tools bar, we're going to go to the Bevel Tool, and we're just going to bevel the loops that you have selected just barely, just a tiny bit. Because all we were wanting to do is to keep them looking trench-like sharp. So we do that. That's the sense. This step will make sense in just a moment. All right, so we've got this kind of pumpkin. Doesn't really look like a pumpkin, but it's getting there. We're going to go to our modifiers tab. We are going to go to Subdivision Surface, and you can see that helps quite a bit. I'm going to just bump it right up there. That's good. Okay. And I'm going to not even do anything else with that. I'm just going to say apply. All right, and under object, I'm going to give it smooth shading. And that looks pretty darn good. All right, but we're not done yet. What we're going to do is we are going to go back into edit mode. You can see this has gotten a lot more complex, but that's fine. We are going to press, we're going to go back to the selection tool. We're going to go, all right, so we are going to press and hold Alt, and we are, no. We're going to go into, face select mode. We are going to press and hold Alt and just go, I'm going to go Shift, go down the line, and just grab all of those loops. And once we get to the center, it's not really consistent, so we're just going to drag, click and drag. We're going to take this little top that we've selected, and we're going to go Shift D. That's going to duplicate it. We'll drag it up just a bit. Just there. Turn off proportional editing. Why not? Probably need it again, but whatever. Then we're going to hit P, just P. It'll bring this up and just say selection. And so that selection is going to become a different object, which is important. All right, we're going to go back to object mode. We're going to select this. We're going to go back into edit mode. And now you can see that this is a different editable object than we had before. And what I'm going to do is I am just going to go into vertices select mode. I'm going to select this middle vertices. I'm going to turn on proportional editing. And I am just going to go all the way up like that. And then I'm going to go turn proportional editing down just a bit, and then I'm going to pull it back down. And that is going to make us a nice little stem top. I'm going to alt-click on this line that goes around, and I'm just going to pull that in. I'm going to do proportional editing and pull that in. And now you can see it looks a little bit more stem-like. However, this top, it looks just awful. So I'm going to make sure all of my vertices are visible by clicking the X-ray. What? I don't know what this is actually called. Wireframe shading. And I am just going to select all of those. I'm going to go to vertices, and I'm just going to be lazy because it's about being lazy and having fun and being spooky and Halloween and all that stuff. I'm going to say smooth vertices, and I'm going to do that again and again because I don't care. All right. So we go back, and it's looking more like a pumpkin stem. This is fine. Okay, so I'm gonna scale that on the Z-axis. I'm also going to go up to Object, and I'm going to say Origin to Geometry. So that's going to pull that origin point back up to the stem. It's going to be easier to work with. Then I'll put the stem back down in the pumpkin, and boom, that pumpkin has a stem. You see how fast this is modeling a pumpkin? It's not that hard. People say, oh, it's hard to model. They're right. All right. So we've got that stem and that pumpkin, more or less. So now we have to give them little textures, and this is going to be easier than anything. We're going to click on the pumpkin. We're going to click on the materials tab down here. We're just going to say new. We're going to call this new material pumpkin. I'm sorry if I go a little faster here. This is just an easy part, and I think you'll be able to follow along. I have faith in you. And we're just going to select orange, kind of a yellowish orange, because that's a good pumpkin color, and we can look at it in our viewport, and that looks like the spitting image of pumpkin color, I will be honest. And you know what? I'm just going to keep it at half roughness. Maybe, no, half roughness is about right. And just keep all of those the same, because I don't care. All right, we're going to do the stem. Same thing with the stem. Do a new one. Call it stem. We're going to go down to the color. We're going to select a green. We're going to make it a blackish green because stems are blackish green. No, it's darker green. It's not a blackish green. It's like a forest green. And for the roughness on this, I'm going to cover my bases and say, oh, not 0. I'm going to go all the way to 1. So that's very rough. And there you go. I'm going to take this and select this. So both the stem and the pumpkin are selected. I'm going to go Control J, and that is going to join them into one group. Or that's going to join them into one object. So now we have an object, and that's how you model your pumpkin. That's how easy it is. All right. So now that everything is rigged and kind of put together, I am going to bring back our backdrop, our beautiful, beautiful backdrop. And I am going to bring it, no, I'll bring the pumpkin to it. I'll bring the pumpkin down to that backdrop. I'm going to make sure it doesn't go through. I also don't want it to float. So maybe just a little bit more. That's fine. That's a good middle ground, I think. All right, and I'm going to scale this on the x-axis to oblivion because why not? And then I'm going to bring back our armature and going to bring back our armature and our hand here. All right, and this is looking a little big, so we're just going to scale it down. It's not going to hurt anything just to scale it. And yeah, keep it about there. I like it. Okay. That's about, it's a little big for a hand. We'll go down a little bit more. All right. So now I'm going to take the initial model and I'm going to rotate it. You can see that it's rotating on the x-axis here, and it's rotating from the wrist because that's its origin. I'm going to actually rotate it more so that the wrist is kind of sticking up in the air. So on the x-axis, rotates it so that the wrist is kind of, that stub is stub is up in the air. All right, then I'm going to go into pose mode, and we are going to pose this. Oops, I have to select. Make sure that your armature is the one that's selected, because that won't show you pose mode otherwise. And then I'm just going to go with each of these bones and just treat them like they're their own individual object. I'll spread out the hand a little bit, just a little bit. That should be good. I'll try to make this as much like the example as possible. Let's see. And one of the nice things that you can do is if you're not exactly sure what the angle is to turn it, um, excuse me, you can rotate it with this little white dial, and that's going to be to your perspective. So it'll rotate on both axes to your perspective, like where you're seeing it from. So I'm going to do that, go down there, and then the finger kind of pushes grotesquely off of it. There you go. I like that. Same thing with this. I'm going to kind of line up with the finger there, lift it up, rotate that down, and then rotate the pad off of it. And you can pose the hand however you want because it's your art. You can do whatever you would like. Whatever feels good, whatever looks natural, whatever makes you happy. That's what we'll do. The pinky I'm going to extend out just a little bit to balance. So, you know, it's not easy for a hand to keep itself moving by itself. Move that stubby Quasimodo thumb down. Actually move this down just a bit, and then, whoop, there you go. Stubby Quasimodo thumb. Hashtag stubby Quasimodo thumb. Okay, so we've got a weird kind of pose, but more or less it's fine. All right. So now if we look at this in render mode, there you go. We've got this kind of hand on a pumpkin. I don't know if the pumpkin's the right size, but we're going to go with it because this is about having fun. This is about making it easy, right? Okay. I'm going to stop saying that, I promise. All right, so now we have the background, and the background is pretty easy to change. We're going to do new. We're going to do a background material. This is all in the materials tab, by the way. We're going to pick a color, and for this I found that I kind of liked a lavender purple-ish color. I think it meshes well. It doesn't. It's a good complementary color for the color palette of this piece. Then you're going to want to adjust your lighting. I found that taking this light, which is very intense, going down halfsies, another one over here, maybe even less than that, maybe like 50. Yeah. 50 watts is fine, yeah, for the background. Just so you have some backlighting, and then bring a light from the front. Okay, I tend to like a lower light source, and then up it just a bit, so maybe like 100 watts. No, we're gonna do bigger. Must not be afraid to think bigger. Okay, so yeah, but now we have this terrible kind of shadow behind there. We don't really want to bring attention to the wall behind that we've made. So you can do a couple of things. You can extend it out more, or you can backlight it from above with an equally powerful light source. So that's what we're going to do. Just try to get that out of there. We still have a bit of shadow. I don't like that. Yeah, so maybe in this case the latter would be fine. And that's fine. We can make adjustments really easily with this. Excuse me, there's a bug in my face. Okay. One of the reasons why you want to make this like infinitely long so that you can give that flexibility. That's fine. That's way better, actually. It's very weird that that light source is acting like that. Not that weird, I'm sure. Okay, cool. And then you can tweak the light sources if you want, change it up, make it groovy, make it spooky. Um, for the last step in I think this whole thing is to set your camera. I don't like the light source that low, in fact. I'm gonna keep it up there. Set your camera. So you'll have a camera by default in there. It's probably set to about your screen size. In this case, I think it's 1080 is the set one. Let me see. Yeah, so 1080p is the default that I have here. So what you can do is when you set up your viewport space to a place where you like it, all you have to do is go up to View, down to Align View, and then Align Active Camera to View. And that is going to more or less get the camera in the right place. If you want to adjust the camera, just click on the little border there or select the little border. Either it's left click or right click. Sometimes you have the option to change it. You can just press G and move it like an object, and you're essentially moving yourself around like an object, but same diff. All right, I don't really like these light sources like that, but that's fine. You know what? It's all good. I'm gonna do this above. That's actually, it's a little better. It's not great. If I wanted to be nitpicky, I could mess with these light sources until the cows come home, but I'm not going to. It's a little bit better. There you have it. You can now render this and have a cool, creepy Halloween render that people will say, "Oh, look at that! That's kind of neat." So it reminds me of the Addams Family. Like, look at that. So anyway, in this video, you've done a lot. If you're totally new to Blender, you have modeled, you have rigged, you have texture painted, um, and you've done lighting all in one tutorial. So congratulations on your deep dive into Blender. If you want to give this video a like, guys, I really appreciate it. If you want to subscribe, I appreciate that even more. Thanks for joining me in this video. I hope to see you in the next.